Live on DAZN Worldwide, May 2nd and 3rd, Garcia versus Romero and Canelo versus Skull. Friday from 6 p.m. Eastern, Garcia returns in a history-making Times Square takeover. 24 hours later, Saturday from 7 p.m. Eastern, King Canelo faces undefeated Skull for the undisputed crown. May 2nd and 3rd, a knockout weekend of boxing. Pick one or go all in for only $90, exclusively on DAZN. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.
Enjoying secrets of a sugar daddy? How about a little something extra? Here's today's dose of extra sugar with Marcus.
Hey, this is Marcus, and welcome to this segment of Extra Sugar. All right, today's Extra Sugar, it's going to be a replay of a very interesting podcast we recorded a few years ago. It's episode number 86. Now, it'll be a little bit edited for time, but this one is full of crazy, crazy sugar dating stories, and I think you're going to enjoy it. If you've heard it before, this will be a lot of fun hearing it again, and if this is your first time, get ready. It is quite an episode. But before that, if you're thinking of coming to Sugarpalooza 6 in June 21st through 23rd, 2025, applications are available on our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, under the Party tab. And if you want to be a sponsor, we still have a couple spots left for you. And you can reach out at info@secretsofasugardaddy.com, and I'll get you all the information on that. But Shakira is coming into town, coming to Phoenix, Arizona. It's going to be an amazing concert. It's going to be an amazing weekend. We've got a full weekend of things planned, and you will have the time of your life. Every party, people end up meeting friends that they still have to this day, years later. I've had people write into me and tell me these parties are life-changing. I mean, it's just an amazing, amazing weekend with like-minded people, and you're going to have so much fun. And don't forget to join our fan club group. We'd love to have you there. It's patreon.com/Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast. We do have a free option, so we do love our free members, but you'll get the full experience just through our minimum tier, which is $10 a month, and that really helps the show, helps all the expenses. I didn't realize how expensive this show would be to put on, and we appreciate our listeners and our supporters. We even have some tiers that have coaching and profile reviews available, so we want to help all of you guys be successful in the Sugar Bowl. There's so many great benefits. The community chat, there's a lot of inside information, photos that we do not post anywhere else. You'll get an extra bonus for the ladies if you want to be a part of the girls' WhatsApp chat. We can get you there. You can direct message us in the message section. There's just so many great benefits. You get hear all the episodes and extra sugars before anybody else. And I mean, like I said, the best part is you get to join our family. So go to patreon.com/Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast. All right, so here is, again, one of my favorite episodes. I know I have a lot of favorites, but this one was so good. Episode 86. Enjoy.
We'd both been drinking, and we were in bed about to get intimate, and she started telling me a story about her and her ex-boyfriend, which ordinarily wouldn't be a problem, except she told me she stabbed him.
Oh, what?
And almost killed him. Yeah.
While you're in bed?
While we're in bed, just before we're ready to...
How the fuck does this even come up?
I don't know. I don't know, but I know how it ended.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the #1 sugar dating podcast in the world, where we pull back the curtains on the good, the bad, and Lily,
The preposterous
and most shocking stories of sugar dating.
The ridiculous.
And you have some preposterous and shocking stories just today.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, we are at lunchtime. We're recording this around noon. You've already been on 2 meet and greets.
Yes, I had a coffee this morning, and that was a full-on disaster.
And the crazy thing is, you're supposed to go to the Taylor Swift concert
With that guy tomorrow night.
It's her big debut, kicking it off here in Arizona, huge sold-out stadium, and you're bailing on him.
Yeah, I backed the fuck out of there. He was creepy, old, weird, and boring.
All right, so here's the crazy thing. You FaceTimed him twice.
Yeah, I FaceTimed him twice.
And you didn't
First
get those
time-
vibes?
No, the first time was pretty dark. The second time, we had a good conversation. Of course, I may have been drinking wine at the time, so maybe I wasn't the best judge of character. Maybe I just intimidated him in person. I don't know what happened, but all he wanted to do was show me stuff on his phone, on his satellite map about where his companies were and his houses were, and
Now, he is very wealthy.
extremely wealthy.
And you met him off of Millionaire Match.
Millionaire Match, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But, wealthy doesn't compensate for personality.
It does not.
I got to have the full package.
Yeah. So that just goes to show you, even though you do FaceTime somebody, which I recommend, at least you know you're somewhat not getting catfished.
I feel like FaceTime is failing me.
But when
It's
you
the
showed up, it was
filters.
completely different in person.
Yeah. Well, and also FaceTime kind of filters now. Have you
Yeah.
noticed with the update?
No, I haven't done it.
It kind
in
of
a while.
makes you more attractive and glamorous than you
Oh,
are
yeah?
in real life.
All right, so you bailed on this one, and then
Mm-hmm.
you rushed over to your second meet and greet.
Which was a lunch date.
You work for me. Have you done any work today?
Yes. I've worked 1.5 hours is all.
Okay, all right. So let's tell me quickly, because we do have a guest today, and I'm really excited to get into this story.
Guy, okay, I FaceTime this guy as well. And his pictures on Seeking, he's actually off of Seeking. His pictures on Seeking were terrible. In fact, I didn't even respond the first time he reached out to me. Then he added another photo, which was much better, much more flattering. And so I responded, and we FaceTimed, and we had a good conversation. And then, okay, it's not that he was unattractive when I met him in person. He kind of looks like Kramer off of Seinfeld.
Yeah, and he's not the most handsome guy in the world.
Well, no, but he was
Funny as hell, but
he was a handsomer version of
Oh.
Kramer. However, the entire time we're having lunch, there is a gigantic booger in his right nostril, just like peeking out at me, like a
that's the worst.
like a turtle in and out of his shell.
Lily.
And I finally had to go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom. I'm like, SOS.
Yeah, I got the
Somebody-
SOS text.
Somebody save me from the booger.
Oh
But
my gosh.
in all fairness, when I got back, the booger was gone, and then I could enjoy my conversation.
Oh man.
Oh, the booger.
So that
the
was
booger.
just this morning. You've had such a wild week. Maybe we'll get into it a little bit later, but
Yeah,
crazy.
maybe.
But we
maybe.
do.
I have one more.
Okay, real quick.
I have cocktails at 4 p.m.
Oh, you've got another
yeah.
3 guys in one night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you getting paid for each of these?
No, I never ask for compensation on a meet and greet. Sometimes guys just will do it, and I like that. I think that's very sweet and very respectful, but I never ask. I just don't.
It's a dose of extra sugar with Marcus. Brought to you by secretsofasugardaddy.com.
Mum's the word, but we're telling everyone. It's BOGO 50% off time at Designer Shoe Warehouse. Just in time for Mother's Day, buy any pair of shoes, get a second qualifying pair 50% off. Treat mom or yourself to the perfect spring styles from must-own brands. And hurry, unlike a mother's love, this deal won't last forever. So make mom proud and score BOGO 50% off at your DSW store or DSW.com today.
All right. Well, you guys might have heard my guest chime in, and we have a sugar daddy in the house today.
A handsome one.
Yeah. We've corresponded quite a bit. It's the first time we've met in person, but I've got text strings for a while now, and you've had some experiences that are very interesting, and I think you guys and listeners are going to find this quite fascinating and eye-opening. So welcome, Dave.
Thank you. Glad to be on.
Thanks for coming in. So I don't know, and I didn't go back through the text messages, but why don't you give us a little background on maybe what part of the country you grew up in and how long you've been sugar dating?
Sure. So I'm from Southwest United States,
Okay.
general area, and I've been divorced for about 4 years. Kind of backed into this site with someone that I had met that mentioned it, and I'd never heard of it before. And
Okay, how long were you married?
I was married for over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was this your one and only marriage?
Yep.
And kids?
Yep. Great
Okay.
kids.
Okay. So, been divorced now for about 4 years?
Yeah. And was dating traditionally on like Hinge and Bumble. And
That's where we all started.
yeah. And I kept getting in the same pattern on those sites, and it just wasn't for me. And then took a little break from dating, and some girls, younger girls that I had met at the place where I lived, they were asking me kind of like what my situation was, and I was just telling them I was taking a break, and they're like, what's the deal? Why? And I explained that, like on Hinge, invariably after the third or fourth date, all the women I saw were like, where's this going?
Oh, I know. And I've had this conversation with Alejandra, a girl that I'm seeing off of Seeking, and her only account now is Hinge. We have an open relationship, and she still meets guys occasionally off of Hinge, but it's driving her nuts because they want to lock her down into a relationship so quickly.
The women too, though.
Yeah,
It's
no,
the
it's
same-
both sides,
the
and that's
same
what
thing.
I felt. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like this was an interview to be a long-term boyfriend or a potential husband
Well, they
when I
were,
went on Hinge dates.
yeah, they were all driving towards, is this headed towards engagement and then marriage? And I was like, no, I just got divorced. I'm
Yeah.
like not ready for that.
Now, what is your current age right now?
I'm 56.
Oh, very good. We're about the same age. I'm a year younger now.
Oh, we're just a table full of contemporaries
Oh,
right
yeah.
here.
A young 56, though.
Oh, I know. You know, in my head, I still feel and participate in all kinds of youthful activities, I feel like. And I'm actually having more fun than I've ever had in my 50s. And, when we're in our 20s and 30s, we thought 50 was old age,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Okay, so you're in your mid-50s and getting nowhere on Hinge.
Nowhere in Hinge, taking a long break. The girls that explained SA to me, I was really taken aback.
Now, who are these girls?
They were young girls that live in the same community that I live in. We were up in the jacuzzi, just kind of.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really know them.
Were they a bunch of sugar babies?
I think they probably were.
Well, you probably are in a little high-rent district, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I live in a nice place. But I was really offended when they first told me about it. They're like, oh, well, you can date, younger women, and this is how it works, and you help them financially. And I was like, mad. I was like, why the hell would I do that? And I left the jacuzzi, or we were up in the jacuzzi, and I went back to my place, and I was like, that is just ridiculous. Why would I do that? And then I started thinking about it more, and I'm like, just look at the site, just see what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started thinking through it more. I'm like, God, this is actually kind of what I want. It's more straightforward and honest about what I want and what I don't want.
Yeah.
Cut to the chase.
Right. So you signed up for Seeking, and then how did it go?
A lot of trial and error, actually, until I found your site. Your site.
You mean our podcast?
Your podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'd been, like I said, with one woman in a long marriage. So I wasn't sure how this worked, about anything about it. And so I'd made a lot of mistakes initially, focusing mainly like picking one person and just hyper focusing on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more I listened to the podcast, I learned, how it really works. and it's actually been very helpful.
Now, how did you find us?
A friend of mine, I have one friend, most of my friends are married, but I have one friend who's also on it. And we were talking one day, and I told him about what, these girls are saying. He's like, oh yeah, I'm on the site and I listened to this podcast.
Oh, that's great.
And then I started listening to the podcast. And now, as you know, it saved me a lot of money recently.
Yeah, so we're going to get into that story here in a
This
little
is
bit.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so you kind of started figuring out how the process worked, and tell us kind of a little bit about the trial and errors, because, oh, good Lord, did I make a lot of errors.
Yeah, it's generally been a really good experience. And the most recent relationship I had, lasted 7 months,
Okay.
and that was really good for a while.
For a while.
Let's hear about this
Yeah,
7-month
there's so much more to
relationship
this.
because my longest so far was 3 months, and probably one of those months was actually good.
So she was a real outlier. I mean, meaning she hit all my buttons and was just amazing.
Okay.
And when we first started, I kind of started where I normally did when it was like we hadn't met her yet, and she asked how much, and I said, like $1,000 each time we meet or something.
Okay.
But
that would get a girl's attention.
But she was so incredible, actually, that I gave her 2 each time we met.
Wow.
Yeah.
My inbox is about to blow up with
I'm
women
sort
wanting
of
your number.
Speechless. I want your number.
Well, it gets worse or better depending on how you look at it from there. So,
Okay.
And I took care of her in other ways too. Like her cat needed surgery. That was $9,000. Her car needed fixed.
Goodness. It's always something, isn't it?
There's always,
Oh, it gets deeper.
well, the worst is the beginning of the month or the very end of a month because then all the rent requests, start coming in.
It's funny because I have everybody that I talk to on Google Voice. My Google Voice number starts blowing up around the first of the month.
Yep, that's how it works.
Hi, what are you up to? I'd love to see you.
So it was really good, but she always wanted to be super discreet, which now I know is kind of a red flag for what I want because she rarely wanted to go out and was super cautious on where we went. And it was my understanding that she didn't have a significant other or anything like that.
What was her age?
27.
Okay.
Yeah. And as time went on, I started to feel like maybe there was something else more serious on the side or something. And eventually I figured out that she did have like a serious boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got no problem supporting someone and helping someone financially. And that I know that's part of the give and take on the site. And there's no problem with that. But I don't really want to be helping someone's boyfriend. I don't want them
that's
going
his
up
responsibility.
Exactly.
I mean, if he can't help you, pick a better boyfriend.
Exactly. And then he didn't know anything about me.
Well, of course.
Yeah. So
How did you figure it out?
Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Social medias.
Yeah.
Yeah. Social media's
So did you just
give away a lot of times.
break it off cold turkey?
Yeah. So I sent her a text real nicely. I mean, I don't want to, I try to, when these things do end, I don't like any drama because I've had some drama from the other side. So I try to limit that as much as possible. But I let her off super easy and just explain, why it wouldn't work. I had already told her in the past that I didn't want to be in an arrangement with someone who was either married or had
in a relationship.
Because then what happens if actual feelings started getting involved, and now it's real sticky.
Well, and that is what happened to me. I really actually fell for her.
Yeah, and it's easy to do. Mm-hmm. They're young, they're beautiful, they're fulfilling your needs. They seem perfect.
Did she say she was seeing you exclusively?
We actually talked about it, and she was gonna date from time to time guys her age, and then I was like, okay, that's fine, I understand that, and I'll probably do the same, which is okay as long as you've talked about that and it's out there. I think that's fine.
But don't you think it's really dangerous falling for somebody that much younger than you, given that you already are your children grown?
They're in college.
Yes, you've got grown children. And what if she wants children? Are you ready to start over with a whole second family?
Oh, God, no.
So,
yeah, that's a dilemma.
Yeah, it's definitely putting yourself in a precarious situation to fall for somebody that young.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to get that.
We never. You got to protect your heart, Dave.
Yes. Lesson learned.
Oh, we've learned a lot of lessons.
How recent was this one?
That ended January 1.
Oh,
okay.
So pretty recent.
So you've had a little time.
About 3 months ago.
To heal your heart.
Yes. Actually, once I caught her and she admitted it, she immediately went from a 10 to an 8. It's just I wasn't that interested anymore. I wasn't hurt at all.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, I forgot to tell you the worst part of the financial arrangement. So just before then, I was trying to get her involved in investing and securing a future and stuff. So I opened up a brokerage account for her, a stock brokerage account, and funded it.
To the tune of
10 grand.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Man, why can't I find me a Dave?
Oh, hush up.
I gotta find me a Dave.
You had a sugar daddy write you a $20,000 check recently.
Yeah, but he was abnormal.
Yeah, but you got to keep it.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he paid your rent for an entire year.
I earned every bit of that.
Yes, you did.
What do they call it? The pain and suffering.
Yes.
That was my reimbursement for pain and suffering because there was a lot of suffering.
Hazard pay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't feel guilty about that at all. And initially I did, but he was so ugly to me after we split up
Yeah.
that I have no remorse for anything. I put up with a lot in that situation.
So, Dave, tell us about some of the early trials and tribulations. Now, because this one was pretty recent. And you've been on the site for how long?
Probably 2 years.
Oh, 2 years. And so 7 months of it was with this girl.
Yeah. Another one that was, I guess I have two other stories. One was, I was with one girl for just a couple times. We went out like 3 times and we connected, whatever. And then she kept asking for money when we weren't together. Like her grandfather was dying. So, and I'm a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to nickel and dime over a few $100. So I bought the plane ticket to go see her grandfather. And then
Been there.
Well, Marcus helped with somebody's funeral.
Yes, I did. And she actually didn't die.
Yep.
Yeah.
She was alive and
I
kicking.
found out a week later she was alive.
oh my God,
It was a sugar baby that I'd met years ago. And we had this really good bond. And then all of a sudden on her Instagram, her mom gets on there and says that her daughter had passed away. This is her mom. My daughter's passed away, blah, blah, blah. I'm like in shock. I actually broke down. I did a little tribute to her at the end of one of my podcasts, and I broke down. Like I was a little devastated about the whole thing. And her mom asked me if I could help with the funeral expenses, and I said, sure. And I sent over $500. And then all of a sudden, she reappeared on Instagram.
She was resurrected.
Unbelievable.
Do you think I got any of that money back?
No.
No.
Not a second thought.
No. And then I had to go delete that ending of that podcast because I was totally embarrassed. So nobody ever heard that little tribute I did. But, oh, my God, man. Now, granted, this girl it wasn't her idea to scam me. Her mom had some mental issues, too. But anyway, that was crazy.
This
Go
one,
ahead.
then... So she kept asking for money, and then I don't know, it just turned me off. Like, I like giving someone money, but I don't like being pestered, you know, and I'm overly generous. I'll like go above board and take care of someone in the right situation. But I'm busy. I run a business, and I don't want to get daily or weekly or texts saying, you know, give me more, this happened, that happened. I'm like, I got my own shit that's happening. So I tried to end it, or I did end it with her, and she's like, all right, well, can I have another $1,200 for something? I can't remember what it was. And I was like, gosh, she's just going to keep asking for money.
Yeah, it's never ending.
And I don't see her. And so I said, I got to draw a bright line here. Otherwise, you know, she'll just keep bothering me forever. So I said, no, I could, but I just,
That's where you get a really high depo. Remember that episode? Dollars expended per orgasm. It gets really high when they keep doing that stuff.
Yeah. So I told her no, and then she just would hound me. She's like, Dave, I know you can afford it. And I was just like, no, I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm not going to do anymore. And then she would just text me or call me twice a day, every day. Then I'd block her. Then she'd call from another number. Then I'd block her. Then she'd call from another number.
The stalker. I've had one.
Just nonstop. It got to the point where if it was unknown caller, even though, you know, I'm in business and I want to answer it, I would just look at it and go, no, I'm not going to answer.
So here's the problem. You have a burner number?
No.
That's a problem right there. All right, listeners. Perfect example of why we have a secondary number. I made that mistake in the beginning. I had the same thing happen where I end up canceling on somebody because I'm doing a little background on my way to pick her up and just found out she got out of jail like a day earlier for meth. And I was picking her up from a very bad part of town, and I bailed on that one. Well, she had my real number, started blowing it up. I had to block her. So
Same situation.
yeah.
I had a stalker that had my real number,
Yeah.
and he pulled the same stuff your chick pulled.
Yeah.
Just kept after me on different numbers.
Different numbers, different ways of getting a hold of
social media, email, every which way but loose.
you. Mm-hmm.
Finally, he gave up on me. Thank God.
So that was one of the earlier.
I've heard that. I don't know. She's the only one that's really been a stalker.
I know, but you get
Yeah.
get the wrong one or the wrong couple.
Yeah.
They could take you down. It's not pretty when a woman is scorned.
I eventually had to get a lawyer involved.
Oh, you did?
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
I couldn't. It just was
Like with
it was not going
a
to
cease and desist or
what-
order protection?
No, what I did and what he suggested was that I pay her one more time, but she signed an agreement not to ever contact me again. And then each time she would, if she did, not that she could afford it, she would owe me, I think it was $5,000, like if she would text or call or anything.
Whoa, what was the big payoff?
The $1,200.
Oh, that
So
she
you paid her
originally requested-
$1,200 to never
To leave you
contact you
alone.
again?
Yes.
Was it worth it?
Totally.
Oh my goodness.
Complete best $1,200.
Now, how old was
See,
this one?
You got extorted right there.
Oh.
That's just plain old extortion.
But I want to know how old that girl was.
She was 31.
All right. So now you're thinking, what? What did I walk into with the sugar dating?
Well, she
shenanigans?
wasn't. No, she was just. I had some other ones that went on for a couple weeks or whatever, and they were fine. So she was kind of an outlier of what you don't want to happen.
Yeah.
Chicago, springtime is finally knocking on your door. The snow and ice may be gone, but are you ready to step out in style yet? It's time to make over your ride at your local Chevy dealer, where you'll find the true glam team of SUVs. If you're thinking about springing forward into a new Chevy, you're not alone. The right vehicle makes all the difference when it comes to safety, confidence, and comfort on the road. You saw the Chevy lineup at the auto show. Now it's time to see which one puts the spring in your step. Need the power and durability of a Silverado, the all-weather confidence of an Equinox or Blazer, the spacious comfort of a Traverse, Tahoe, or Suburban, or the sporty, city-friendly Trax? Your local Chevy dealer has exactly what you need to shine like the new spring sun. So don't wait. Head to ChevyDriveChicago.com today. Browse the newest models, special offers, locate your nearest Chevy dealer, and start shopping online. Things are warming up out there, and you need a vehicle you can trust. Find yours now at ChevyDriveChicago.com. Chevy, together, let's drive.
It's a dose of extra sugar with Marcus. Brought to you by secretsofasugardaddy.com.
But I had another one I'd been with, same like 3 or 4 times, and we had a good time together, but we hadn't been intimate yet. And we went out, and we'd both been drinking, and we were in bed about to get intimate, and she started telling me a story about her and her ex-boyfriend, which ordinarily wouldn't be a problem, except she told me she stabbed him.
Oh, what?
And almost killed
What?
him. Yeah.
While you're in bed.
While we're in bed, just before we're ready to...
How the fuck does this even come up?
I don't know. I don't know, but I know how it ended. I was like, as soon as she told me that, I just had visions. I could never stab someone. I think I could shoot someone easier than I could stab someone with a piece of metal. And I was just like, you gotta go. And she's like, seriously? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna order you an Uber. You gotta go right now.
Really? You kicked her out of bed right then and there?
Right then and there.
That was awkward.
She thought it was going to be a turn on.
I don't know what.
It backfired.
Yeah,
So that one ended.
that was it. That's a hard end for
Wow.
me.
Yeah.
You know what the most awkward point is? The 10 or 15 minutes you're sitting there waiting for the Uber.
Oh, she kept trying to get me to cancel it. I mean, oh yeah, it was bad. I basically pushed her out the door.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is bad. And you keep telling me these are outliers.
Those are the outliers. I've had lots of good ones.
Okay.
Lots, and then I'm still in contact with most of them. Most of them end well, and it's not a big deal.
So in the few years you've been on there, how many girls or women do you think you've met and corresponded, actually met in person? And
Probably 15.
15?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Those percentages of outliers is pretty high.
Yeah, I guess.
That's a pretty high percentage. I've literally met hundreds, probably 250 to 300, because I've been on
Personally?
there for 6.5 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I admitted the other day that at one time I'm talking to 9 different sugar babies. I mean, that was just too much. Now, I wasn't seeing 9 at one time, but I literally wrote down all the ones that I'm talking to, trying to figure out, where I'm going to do for tonight or tomorrow or this weekend.
But you say you've met them face to face? 250?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Taking all of them on dates.
Yeah, like doing meet and greets.
Yeah.
And so I stopped doing dinners. It was too much. And sometimes instantly when you show up, you're like, I'm just wasting my time here.
I won't do a dinner or a lunch on a meet and greet. There's no way.
No, just meet them for drinks or coffee. I prefer
I was
drinks.
living dangerously today.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because you got stuck in a lunch, didn't you?
Yeah, but I had an out, so it was okay.
Yeah.
I had to come here.
Right.
So that was my excuse. But you know what? The second half of lunch was not terrible because I didn't have to look at the booger anymore.
Yeah.
It got better. Like I could actually pay attention to the conversation once the booger was gone. And you know what? Kimmy and I flew to Vegas recently.
Yeah.
And we're in the airport and we're waiting because our plane was delayed. And Kimmy had a booger. But I could tell her, Kimmy, you got to dig that sucker out of there. I can't talk to you with that booger.
And she did.
But you're on a first date with somebody, you can't really call attention to the booger.
True.
It was so awkward. I probably should have just told him.
Yeah, if it's going to be the last date too, you might as well just tell him.
Yeah. All right. So when you message somebody on Seeking, is that the only sugar dating site you're on? Because there's others.
Yeah, the only one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you message them, do you talk finances up front, or how do you go about getting it to an in-person meeting?
I usually just have some banter unrelated to the finances at the beginning. I read their profile and try to connect with something that they have written in there. I don't talk finances on the site because I've heard that you can get banned.
You can, yeah. They're truly trying to get away from that stigma that they are a sugar dating site, although I don't think it will ever get away from that. I know a lot of the women on there are getting frustrated because that's exactly why they're on there.
So as soon as they ask or imply they want to know how much is involved, then I say, look, I'm not comfortable talking about that on the site. So give me your number and we can discuss that.
Right. Okay. And then once you kind of come up with a mutual agreement of here's what it looks like maybe going forward, then you just invite them to have a drink with you, or is that your MO?
Yeah.
Okay. And then once you meet them in person,
then just kind of see how it goes. I usually do pay to meet the person.
yeah, it's an honorable thing to do.
Yeah, it's their time.
Yeah,
It's just like my time, and they're obviously there for a reason, mainly due to financial difficulty. So, and I can afford it. So I don't want to be like,
I think it's very classy when a man does that. And I never ask, but I have had on a meet and greet, gentlemen just generously give me something for my time. And you know what? They're more likely to get a second glance than somebody who just is like,
Honestly, that's probably part of the reason why I do it. So, yeah.
Well, and especially if I really like that person, I want to, it's like my earnest deposit.
Exactly.
Right?
Pay
here,
it forward.
Yeah. Here's
all right, let me ask you guys this.
Yeah.
You're on a meet and greet. The woman walks in. She doesn't look anything like her pictures. She looks much, much worse. Do you still pay her for the meet and greet?
I don't.
I do.
You do?
Yeah. If I said,
I like you.
Thank you. If I said I'm going to do it, and I've had that happen, I'm going to do it. I mean, it's just. Plus, I really am, based on some of the stories that I've just told you, I'm super sensitive of a bad ending and someone getting really angry and going off the
almost
rails.
just worth it. Like, here you go.
Leave me alone.
See you never.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so because you're so kind and sweet and generous, have you ever been scammed?
Sure, but a lot of it is I know it's a scam. Like, I mean, sometimes you just know, but you still do it. I don't do it anymore, but at the beginning, sometimes the girl would want, money for an Uber to come over or to meet me, whatever. So I knew it wasn't right, but I would do it anyway.
Well, the problem is sometimes it's legit. They do show up. I've sent them money up front a little bit, and they do show up. Is exactly what they said it was for. But I've also had, hey, I need $100 for the babysitter. I don't have any cash on me. Can you Venmo me that? And then I'll head on over. Well, me being naive and stupid in the beginning, I said, sure. And they never came over. And then I actually found them. I found this person, and they were in Washington. They weren't even in Arizona.
I have one funny story or strange story on that. I had one girl that I was communicating with, and we exchanged numbers and we were texting with each other, whatever, but we hadn't met. And I got a call from a policeman. He said, hey, that girl you were talking to, she was just in a really bad car accident and she passed away. I was like, oh my God, that's terrible. And he's like, yeah, and the dad is here in the police office in the precinct, and he's super upset. And we look through her phone and we see.
Oh, I
is
know
pretty elaborate.
where this is going.
He says, we've seen that you've been texting with her. I'm like, yeah, I've been texting with her. And he's like, well, she was underage.
Mm-hmm. We just heard the story.
Oh, you did?
Yo, you're not the only one.
Not exactly.
Oh, okay.
Very
but
similar.
The same exact scam.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, do you want to hear the rest?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
So I was like, oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. And he's like, well, you can settle this. I'm trying to help you here, but you can settle this, and I think I can settle the father down and have him not bring charges. And I was like, charges? Wait, what did I do? And he's like, well, you've been texting with her and she's underage. I'm like, yeah, I've never met her. I've never even met her in person. So if you're saying I had sex with her or something, it didn't happen. And he's like, well, the dad is super angry. I'm like, well, I'm sad for him, but it's not my responsibility. I don't know why you're calling me. And so then he would call me again, and he had a very distinct accent. He had like a Louisiana accent.
Oh, yeah.
And he gave me his badge number and his name because I was like, wanted to be careful. And so I called the Phoenix Police Department, and there was an officer by that name. But when he picked up, totally different voice.
Yeah.
And
What?
I told him.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And I said, someone's impersonating you, and here's his number. And I told him the story.
So
Wow.
when did the red flags go up for you? When you called up Phoenix Police?
Well, they were already going up because it didn't make.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with the site. You have to really pay attention to the red flags. It just didn't make sense. Why are you calling me when I have never even met the girl?
Right.
It just doesn't add up.
It's a dose of extra sugar with Marcus. Brought to you by secretsofasugardaddy.com.
Now, we know that you actually were tried to scam in person
Yes.
because you met the same girl that I met.
Yes.
Hate doing cardio? Try brushing and flossing your teeth. I'm not talking about building up a sweat. I'm talking about building a healthier mouth for a healthier heart, for a healthier you. Smile Generation. Trusted dentists look at your care through the lens of the mouth-body connection because what happens in the mouth plays a critical role for the rest of your body. To find a dentist near you, committed to treating all of you, visit smilegeneration.com/confidence today. And live longer, healthier, and happier with confidence unleashed.
Did scam me in person, but I saved you
You did.
almost $5,000 because you listened to this podcast.
You did.
So
she was good.
She is good, right?
I owe you big
All
time.
right. So tell the listeners how this worked because there's a little variation of what she did with you, but it's almost exactly the same.
Okay. So her profile, she's a beautiful woman. The pictures of the faces, you couldn't really tell, but it was, she had an amazing body, PhD, highly educated, well-traveled, and just like a lot of it was like, wow, this person's different. I mean, I could really connect with this person.
Right. She is a cut above the rest,
Yes.
you would say.
Yeah. And so we texted a little bit, and then she wanted to meet for coffee at the mall. So I was like, okay, sure. So we went to the mall.
Is this the Scottsdale Mall?
Mhm.
Scottsdale Fashion Mall.
Square.
Okay.
Yeah. And she was drop dead gorgeous.
Right.
Like,
she is.
In unbelievable fitness, really great shape. And
Tall, too.
tall, brunette, beautiful eyes. I mean, just like, wow. And
And you're thinking,
educated.
wow, have I hit the jackpot with this one?
Yes.
Okay.
But-
Same
but-
feeling I had.
But the red flags started coming. So
Well, it's because you knew what the red flags.
I did. I should back up even before we met. When she was telling me about her, she said she grew up in Switzerland. And,
Yep.
And it was odd because just as she was saying she grew up in Switzerland, in my mind, I was expecting her to say Canada because she had this Canadian accent. So I called her out on it. I'm like, oh, that's weird. You have a Canadian accent. And she's like, no, I grew up in Switzerland. I'm like, okay. Did you live with someone from Canada or something?
Because the words you are pronouncing is the way the Canadians would pronounce them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then like
See, I didn't catch up on that, but I think she's based in Toronto.
she is based in Toronto. I found after the fact.
Yeah.
And then she would talk some more and I'd interrupt her. I'd say, that word you just said is totally, how you're pronouncing it is totally Canadian. I don't know what to
Did she seem irritated when you would point out?
Nope. She was
No,
smooth.
she's smooth.
She was smooth.
No, she can
Just
talk her way through anything.
unflappable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm highly educated myself. And, you know, I talked to her about her doctorate degree and her PhD. She works at Mayo Clinic. You know, she just was saying all the right things.
Did you get into cars at all? Because she's very knowledgeable about vehicles and cars.
No.
No.
Golf.
Golf,
Talk-
yeah, she plays golf.
And travel. Just golf and travel.
Yeah.
And so
And she has condos all over the place.
and
Yeah.
her parents are super wealthy. They have a place in the Bay Area.
Yeah, she doesn't need your money.
Well, she didn't. So that's what she said to me.
She just likes to date wealthy people.
So we got to that point.
Makes sense.
And that's a red flag. So we got to the point, and she's like, well, how do you want this to work? I'm like, well, you know, this is how I normally work, but it sounds like you don't need the money. She's like, no, I don't need the money. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? And she's like, well, you know, maybe we'll go on vacation somewhere and, you know, you can pay for the trip or you can buy me gifts here and there. I'm like thinking, okay, that works for me.
Yeah,
Just-
that worked for me too.
yeah, it's different, but sure, we can do that. So we're getting ready to kind of leave. And she's like, when are you available next? And she's like, are you available tomorrow? I'm like, no, I can't meet tomorrow. She's like, oh, shoot, tomorrow's my birthday. I'm like, okay, happy early birthday, whatever. So then she said, how about Friday? And I was like, sure. Okay, let's get together again Friday. So I wish her happy birthday the next day. And we text a little more. And she's like, okay, on Friday, let's meet at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, where? She's like, I'll text you. I'm like, okay. So now the alarm bells and red flags are going off. I'm like, she wants to meet at the mall again. I mean, one mall date I get, but 2 mall dates, I mean, it's a big city. There's lots of fun places to go other than the mall.
Yeah.
So I text her during the day. I'm like, any reason in particular why you want to meet at the mall? Because I'm just concerned. And she texts back something like, well, I just bought some clothes for my birthday and I want to try them on. I want you to see them and get your opinion. I was like, okay, I guess we'll do that. So sure. So I get to the mall and she wants to meet at Dior.
Yeah.
And I've never been in Dior before. I mean, I live a nice lifestyle and I buy nice things, but I've never been into a Dior store.
Mm-hmm.
And she's shopping and I'm just kind of lurking around, looking at the prices of these crazy things, trying to find the
Now,
men's.
for our listeners, this is Scottsdale Fashion Mall. They have Neiman Marcus. They've got David Yurman, which is the jewelry store she got me to spend some money at. They've got all Nordstrom's. They've got all the high-end stores and the fashion stores there. Gucci, you know, everything.
So we're chatting a bit. And when we had talked on our first date, she said that she lived on the 3rd floor of this development, which actually happens to be the exact same place where I live. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. I live there too.
Mm-hmm. Which is across the street from the mall.
Yes. And so we're talking more and she's like, yeah, after this, I just got some Bordeaux for my birthday. Let's go right after this, go over to my place and have some wine. I'm like, okay. And she's like, my unit number is 402.
Right.
But she had told me the day before she lived on the 3rd floor. And so
story's
Ding,
not making
ding,
sense.
ding, ding, ding. The story's not making sense. And then the other thing is the even numbers of this development face inward. But she had told me the day before that she had a beautiful view of Camelback Mountain, which is outward west. And so I'm like thinking, this makes no sense. And then she told me the number, and she like looked down at my phone. She goes, aren't you going to write it down? I'm like, no, I can remember, 402. But in my mind, I'm like, this isn't making any sense. So she's looking at these sweaters that just are like, to me, just any regular sweater. Just like, I'm thinking, this is $100 sweater, whatever. And I looked down at the price tag, and I think it was $2,300
for a sweater,
for a little sweater
at Dior.
And she's like, what do you think of this? I didn't want to say that's like insanely expensive, not just ridiculous. So I was just like, oh yeah, it's nice. And so she shops some more, and then she puts 2 sweaters down. And she goes, I think I'm going to get these. I'm like, okay, good. Let's get the sweaters and go have our wine. Gets out her credit card and gives it to the guy, and it gets denied. And then she's like a little embarrassed, but not really. And she's like,
because this is her game.
And she's like, oh, this is so frustrating. And then she tells me this long story about how a different credit card she had, she lost it. Like she was holding her coffee in one hand and her shopping bag in the other, and it somehow fell and whatever. And at this point, all the bells are going off. I got both hands in my pockets all the way down to my socks.
Now, are you thinking about the story from my podcast at this time?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad I made a difference.
Oh, yeah. My hands are way deep in my pockets. I'm like, if she's going to ask me to pay for something, I am not doing it.
Good for you.
So she runs the card again, gets denied again, does it a third time, and then they're texting her, or she said they were texting her like fraud alerts and stuff. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's good they do that because, you don't want to get defrauded or whatever. Gets denied a third time, and she's like, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, I know what you're going to do. And she's like, what? Get a new card and come back tomorrow. These $2,300 sweaters aren't flying off the shelves.
They will be here tomorrow.
and if they're not here tomorrow, I'm sure they'll order you as many as you want.
Yeah.
And I think that flustered her a little bit. And she's like, well, but I've been shopping all day today and all day yesterday, and I just don't want to do it again. I just want to be done with this already. I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. Like, She's like, do you have Venmo? I'm like, yeah, I've got Venmo. She's like, why don't you put it on your card and then I'll Venmo you? And I'm like, I'm really not comfortable with that. And she's like, oh. And I'm like, you can just come back. Just order a new card and just come back tomorrow or the next day. It's not that big of a deal. She's like, okay. So then we're leaving. She's like, well, do you want to go to my place for the drink? I'm like, yeah, sure. And she's like, well, maybe we should meet at City Hall first. I'm like, okay, yeah, we go to City Hall. And I had walked there. Earlier, she had asked me how I got there. And I said I walked because it's right across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, okay, I'll meet you there. And I'm like thinking in my head, like, seriously? I mean, I walked here, you drove, and you're not going to give me a ride? We're not going to go together? So I knew it was total BS.
Yeah, but you knew that was the end of that.
But I wanted to like close the loop. I'm one of these people that gives people the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
So, of course, I go to City Hall. I wait around a few minutes. She's not there. I text her.
She ain't coming.
No response. Then I go to Unit 402. That's not her unit.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Then I go look at her back on the site, and I'm blocked, but it shows that she's out of Toronto, Canada. Like it's kind of ghost written in there.
Yeah. So what name did she give you? Sarah, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You had written in Sarah in your messages.
Yeah.
So she gave me the name Valerie, like Valerie Bodmer or something like that. Let's just compare. I'll give you my story real quick, and that way our listeners can kind of compare her MO to what happened to me 5 years ago, almost to the year. I mean, almost to the month.
Pay attention, gentlemen. This can save you.
This can save you thousands of dollars because she is good. She will have you like putty in your hands because she is a very attractive, well put together, sophisticated lady. And she's doing all this in person. It's hard to tell somebody no in person. So she met me at Capitol Grill by Biltmore in Central Phoenix, which is a very nice restaurant. Lily just went there the other day.
Oh my gosh, it's so nice. Yeah.
But she had Prosecco, and we just sat there and drank. And again, she told me, I don't need the money. I've the same story she told you. I think she did tell me she had condos. She had condo in Kierland, which is North Scottsdale. She had it in Toronto, like Miami, all these places. I don't remember the exact details because this was 5 years ago. But of course, then this was like on a Tuesday. And then later that week, we conversed through text. And she's like, hey, it's my birthday. Ding, 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 ding. Why, I don't want any money from you. I got my own money. Why don't you just buy me something at the mall and then we can go back to my place and eat Japanese. And did you maybe you can bring your swimsuit. We can skinny dip out of my pool, whatever, right? So I meet her at the mall and she immediately texts me her address. Like, hey, here's the address. Did you get it? And I said, yeah, I got it. And it was this swanky condo complex up in North Scottsdale. And so we go over to Neiman Marcus. She walks right to the Chanel bag area, like a little enclosed area. And she's talking a fashion language that was blowing my mind. I didn't know this language. They have their own language. And she knew everything about Chanel bags and the styles and what they're called and this and that.
And just so your listeners know, she's completely dressed to the nines with all this stuff. She already has a Chanel bag and these Dior glasses and the red bottom
because all these men keep falling for her and buying this shit for her.
So but she looks like she's legitimately wealthy.
Yeah. So they give her the price of the bag. It was $4,000. This is our second date. Like, we just had a meet and greet the first time. Anyway, so I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, this girl wants me to buy her a $4,000 bag. So anyway, fortunately, they didn't have the one that she wanted. And she's telling me the story like, oh yeah, my assistant, I have 9 Chanel bags, so they're older, so she's getting rid of them. I'm looking for something new. But anyway, they didn't have the one that she wanted, thank goodness. So I walk out of there thinking, what have I got myself into? Unfortunately for me, I fix and flip homes. It was part of my business. I had just sold a home, paid off all my credit cards. I had all this credit available. I even had gone and played poker the night before and had $3,000 of cash in my pocket. I had no idea what I needed it for, but maybe I did need it. So then we're walking down. She goes, well, let's go to Nordstrom's because there's something there she wanted to look at. We walk by this jewelry store, David Yurman, and I'd never even heard of David Yurman, but apparently it's a popular high-end jewelry store. She walks in there and she's looking at bracelets and earrings. And again, they didn't look like anything. I could have bought something like that for $100 at, K Jewelers or something. It didn't look like anything. It was $3,300 for these earrings and then for this bracelet. She wanted me to buy both. I finally agreed to buy her the earrings. And by the time it was taxed and everything, it was like $3,700 or whatever. So then she's like, oh, I just want to look at this face cream down at Nordstrom. So we walk down there and she's looking at this anti-aging face cream. So she goes, oh, yeah, this is the one I really like. Do you mind? And I was like, fine, like how much could this possibly be, right? So I've already spent $3,700. What's a few hundred more bucks? So we go to ring it up, and the lady's like, okay, that'd be $984. And I looked at her and I was like, do you know that this is like $1,000? She goes to the lady, she goes, oh, ma'am, I just wanted the small bottle. And the lady goes, this is the small bottle. No, this is the small bottle. So I've got my credit card in my hand and I'm like, fuck it. I just swiped it and I'm thinking, you know what? I spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a girl a month anyway, maybe more because she's so sophisticated and beautiful and sexy. So let's just say this is a one-time investment. That's how I justified it in my head. So we're walking.
Plus, you're going over to her place right after.
Yeah. So she's like, oh, I'm so tired of shopping. Are you hungry? We can order Japanese. My place is 10 minutes away from here.
Perfect.
So we're walking down the mall and she's like, where'd you park? And I said, over here. And she kind of had this like look on her face like, oh shit. So she goes, oh, well, I parked over here. And she pointed a different direction. She's like, all right, I'll race you back to my house. We'll see who can get there first. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go up there. It's a gated community with a guard. And I go up there and I go, hey, I'm here for Valerie at Unit 3, whatever, right? I'd never been to this complex. And he goes, for who? And I told him the name. And he's like, yeah, there's nobody that lives here by that name. I go, are you sure? And he goes, what was the name again? I told him, he goes, oh, this has been happening a lot lately.
Oh my gosh.
My heart just sunk right out of my chest. I look, I'm blocked.
Yep.
I call her, I'm blocked. I call her from a different number, and it was a text now number. Yeah. It felt so bad to get scammed like that. I go home and I just feel like dog shit. Like I just totally got taken advantage of. And I don't understand what exactly she's wanting, because on my way home, I go back by the jewelry store and I said, hey, yeah, my girlfriend and I were in here earlier and she's kind of having second thoughts about these earrings, but I told her to keep them. But if she brings them back, do you just give her cash back? And they go, oh, no, we put it right back on the credit card. We wouldn't give her cash. We'd put it back on the credit card. So I'm thinking, what is her deal? What does she want? Is this her enjoyment of seeing what she can get from these wealthy men?
I don't know what the end game is.
Because she's really not turning it into cash, I don't think.
Well, she could have played me and you for a lot more money.
I texted her from my other number. I go, you missed out on a lot more. I had $3,000 cash in my pocket you probably could have gotten.
Same with me. I mean, look what I gave the 26-year-old at the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of money she could have done.
And this was 5 years ago, and then I haven't heard much of her since. But now, and if you guys want her current, this will probably change. But if you want her current username, it's Claire, Klair, out of Toronto, Canada. Matter of fact, I'm going to post a link to some of her pictures on my website. And matter of fact, I might even I'm not even current on Seeking right now, but I have her saved. So I've been following her. She's active right now. I might send her a copy of this podcast.
That was the other red flag, actually, that I want to mention. I asked her on Seeking, even her private pictures, nothing showed her face well.
Yeah. And
then even when we were texting, I was like, can you send me a picture of yourself so I can keep it with our thread? And she would just avoid it.
Right.
And I never got a good picture of her face.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to post some pretty good pictures of her face on our website. So if you guys, our listeners, have had any interaction with this one, we want to hear your story too, because it's just ridiculous. It's not the premise of the site to go out there and scam people.
So on her current profile, she has face shots?
A few, but I have some from her from 5 years ago. Now, she had really large breasts when I met her, and you told me those have been taken out.
Yeah, she was very fit. She looked great, but not at all like
as
the pictures.
Busty as her pictures. Yeah. So she must have had her implants removed because she was top heavy. She almost looked like a James Bond girl to me, right?
Right.
Like tall and just beautiful, fit, and very well put together. Like with the men that Lily meets, they would be putty in her hands because you know what they throw at you.
Yeah.
The men just write her huge checks.
Oh, goodness.
They do
not. Come on.
You've been paid multi-thousands of dollars for meet and greets.
Okay.
Wow, no denial there.
A time or two.
A time or two, right? So can you imagine somebody that well put together and that fit and just...
Hey, what am I, chopped liver?
No, but I'm just telling you, like she's in her early... well, she says she's 31.
Yeah.
I don't know how old she is. She's probably a little older than that, don't you think?
It seems about right, actually.
Is it? Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would have some of these very wealthy... hundreds of millionaires, almost billionaires. I mean, they'll buy her whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Well,
because she's not your average sugar baby.
She's so convincing.
She's very convincing, and she's not your average girl you see on the site.
We don't know what she really is. I would love to know her real story.
I know. Matter of fact, maybe I'll reach out to her and see if she'll actually come on the show.
That would be good.
Because the gig is up.
Yeah. It really
so
is.
Tell us. Like, I'd really want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that would be pretty fascinating.
It would be fascinating.
I don't think she's going to do it.
No, but it would be anonymous.
Tell her we'll get her a Chanel purse if she does.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can. She already got $5,000 for me.
But she made yours back eventually the next day.
Oh, yeah. So karma is an amazing thing. And I've told this story, but it's been a while. So the very next day, I had a domain name that I was going to use for a business that I ended up tabling and not ever using it at all. And I bought this domain name for a few $100. I get a call from GoDaddy the very next day. So this was on a Sunday is when I got scammed. On Monday, which that is when she changed her profile to Toronto. So on Monday, I get a call from GoDaddy. And they're like, hey, we've got a company that wants to buy this name for $5,400 or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, they really want this. So I negotiated up to, I think, like $6,800.
Didn't you think maybe it was a scam?
From GoDaddy?
No, just you're in a scam mode. When I get
this was legit.
I start thinking everything.
Start getting paranoid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I do a lot of business with GoDaddy, so I knew this was legit. And sure enough, they presented the offer back to the buyer, and they agreed at $6,800, and I think the deal was closed later that week. So I was like, wow, karma really worked in my favor because I had zero desire to do anything with this domain name, and it was just sitting there doing nothing. So I felt like I got paid back very quickly. And matter of fact, I sent her a note and kind of told her on my other number to her Text Now number. I don't know if she deactivated it by then or not, but that week I said, well, Karma paid me back very quickly. I wonder what karma has in store for you.
I hope she gets some terrible karma.
Well, you will. You just can't live life like that. You cannot live life going around scamming people. It's just not a way to live, and the universe won't put up with it.
Which is why I canceled my date for tomorrow night, because I told them, I just don't think it's fair for you to foot the bill to take me to these great seats to Taylor Swift when I'm actually not at all interested in you. And he was highly interested in me.
Well, hey, tell him I'll take that seat.
I think he's going to take one of his granddaughters.
Okay. Well, I'll put a wig on. I really.
He's very boring, but go for it.
Well, actually,
Marcus, go for
as
it.
we wrap up the show, we are celebrating my birthday and Lily's birthday because we're very close. We're both Aries.
Yes.
And I bought a party patio for the Taylor Swift concert. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh,
so,
we're going to have a blast.
We'll give you a report on that in a few weeks.
You should come.
Yeah, I love it. Happy birthday, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's a dose of extra sugar with Marcus. Brought to you by secretsofasugardaddy.com.
But anyway, Dave, anything else as we wrap up?
I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did.
Thanks for sharing your story. You contacted me, told me the story. I said, you got to come on the show. And then Lily, in her convincing ways, actually sealed the deal. Got you.
Well, yeah, we heard this whole story on speakerphone.
Yeah.
Actually, at my apartment.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I'm just so glad you didn't fall for it.
Yes.
Me too.
So you owe me a drink.
I do.
She was thwarted.
Anytime, any place, let me know.
All right. Well, if you want to share your crazy sugar dating stories, go to our website at secretsofasugardaddy.com and follow us on Instagram, where you can actually get a hold of Lily or me very quickly. Direct messages there. Again, Dave, thanks for coming in. Lily, and until next time. Okay. I hope you had as much fun listening to that as I did. I just love going back into the archives and re-listening because I forget that we talk about some of this crazy stuff, and it's a lot of fun. But anyway, hope to see you guys on Patreon. That's our fan club support group. Love for you to join us there if you're not already a member. And we will see many of you at Sugarpalooza 6 in June. All right. Talk to you later and look for a new episode next week.
We hope you enjoyed your extra sugar with Marcus. As always, visit our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, to comment or tell us your story.